So I just saw a question on there on Twitter, and it's a question a lot of people have always been asking, and I don't know if I've answered it myself, but first of all, before I answer it, I do want to send out congratulations to Tony Khan for eclipsing, if not tying, and then eclipsing, because I'm sure he's done it by now, the 43,000 tickets sold for the Nitro for the Monday Nitro in 1998 when Goldberg beat Hulk Hogan for the world title, which was 43,000 plus. I have to, I have to say my congratulations out to Tony Khan and AEW for surpassing that and continuously to do so with just a preseason, of not preseason, but the pre-sale of tickets, which doesn't go on sale officially until this weekend, which is for the All In 2, All In London event in Wembley Stadium, which is rumored to show up air live, I should say, on Max, formerly HBO Max, as of the 23rd of this month. But speaking of AEW, there is a question, like I said, that everybody's been asking, and Aaron Rift of No DQ, we even wondered this as well, and that is, why do a lot of fans, even overall wrestling fans that probably watch AEW and enjoy it, why do they want it to fail? Why do they want it to leave the wrestling world for good? What's the reasoning? And again, I don't know if I've answered this, but I think the reasoning for it is because they look at the fact that AEW is ran by nothing more than a wrestling fan. A guy that has a good sense for business, but when it comes to AEW, he's more wrestling fan than businessman. He's more wrestling fan than the boss. And there are times in their eyes, and unfortunately they are correct about it, that does indeed show. Anybody want to be reminded of the media scrum last year? That's a prime example they use. But it's also the fact that I think when they look at it, they look at a company that's basically trying to be the next WCW, is what they're looking at. They see a company that is, just like WCW is on TBS and TNT. They see a company that, its presentation is very similar at times to Nitro and Thunder, especially later on. And they see a company that kind of, even recently, switches, I know this is a lame reason to think about it this way, but, switches out the ring ropes from black to red, white, and blue. And why? They were fine with what they had, but, even with that minuscule, part being, a reason they would look at, again, I think it's mainly because of the fact that they just don't feel like AEW has found its true footing yet. Like, to them, it's hitting on all cylinders, all the right cylinders, but during this evolution that it's been, going on by hitting all the right cylinders, it's hit a bunch of potholes, a bunch of, bumps in the road, here and there, to where, they've gotten out that at times it feels like they're falling off the tracks, the leaning off the rails and getting ready to crash into the gorge down below. And look, I understand just by, some of these moments here and there, visually on television and behind the scenes and all that, I understand, why they might feel this way, but, it's almost like in a way, it's almost like if you were trying to say, well, if basketball got rid of the WNBA or the CBA or the G League, that, it would be best, for basketball. Would it? Would it be best for basketball if they got rid of the developmental league known as the G League? Would it be best if they got rid of the WNBA and not show equality to both men and women? Would it be, would it be best for basketball if they got rid of the CBAs or the ABAs or whatever, or the 8-man leagues or whatever, the 3-on-3 leagues? No, it wouldn't, because what these other variants of basketball, other leagues of basketball provide is opportunity for those that can't make it truly in the NBA or the WNBA. It allows them opportunity to showcase what they could do in other forms of basketball. That's why you have this Big Three tournament or this Big Three league. That's why you have the CBAs, the ABAs, the international leagues. Because it gives and provides the basketball players that feel that they could, still prove that they have it, a chance to do so. Same with football. Why do you think we have the XFL? Why do you think we have the resurrected USFL? Why do you think we have the AFL, the Arena Football League? Why do you think we have them? It's because, the reason we have them is it allows players that, pretty much can't make it in the NFL just yet or want to get to the NFL a chance to prove that they can do so. Or prove that they still have it to play the game. The same with baseball and the various leagues, minor leagues, minor leagues, secondary leagues, whatever. It gives them a chance that they could still play the game or give them a chance to show, the MLB, hey, we're just as good as we're advertised. And by taking any of that away would be a detriment. And taking away AEW, as crazy as it sounds, would be a detriment. Yes, it does feel like AEW is basically another WCW because they're bringing all this ex-WWE talent in to fill up the roster. And, there's no denying that. But what they're doing by bringing in these ex-WWE talents is they're not just bringing them in to perform in the ring, no. They're bringing them in so that they can help, teach and coach and lead the way for the future of the business. That's what they're doing. That's why they brought in Bryan Danielson. That's why they brought in Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli, Dean Ambrose, Jon Moxley, to help lead the way for people like Wheeler Yuta, if you will, for what's his name, Takahashi, Takashita, if you will. They're there to help provide and lead the way for them. And there are other talents too that are just beginning. And AEW is the first main place of exposure across the globe. And these talents that are ex-WWE talents are coming in not just to perform and work with them for the first time maybe in the ring, but to teach them so they can, further along their careers for the future. That is the one thing that WCW, they tried to do, but they couldn't. They were mainly more focused on how much, time can we give Hulk Hogan? How much time can we give Randy Savage? How much time can we give Warrior? How much time can we give, Hall and Nash? And by doing so, they were basically, they were basically causing a problem instead of fixing a problem. And when they tried to fix the problem, it was, way too little, way too late. So to say you want to see AEW go out of business and be gone, that is the wrong kind of thinking. I mean, I get it. I get that maybe you feel, like I said, AEW is just another WCW wannabe for the modern age. And that's fine. But guess what? Maybe AEW is the WCW of the new era that we need. Maybe this is maybe the AEW is being what WCW could have been had they done the right thing, had they focused on the right directions. And again, look, I understand. Has AEW hit a lot of potholes? In the process? Absolutely, they've hit a lot of potholes. There's no doubt. They've hit a lot of road bumps and everything. They've nearly fallen off the rails a couple of times. But guess what? They always, just like WWE has at times, they've always bounced back. Look at Impact. Impact's not on a major network right now, but guess what? It's one of the more talked about promotions in the U.S. Not just because of the Knockouts division, but because of the overall presentation of the product. They're bouncing back. They're showing that they still have life, even 20 plus years after they debuted. And people were always constantly saying, this is the constantly saying over the past 20 plus years, this is when AEW, this is when Impact's going to die, this is when TNA is going to die, it's going to die now, it's going to die here, it's going to die here, and yet it never happened. It never happened. They basically defied the odds, day in and day out, day in and day out, and that is exactly what AEW is doing. Yeah, you might say, well, AEW is not Impact. And Impact doesn't spend as much as AEW does financially, and that's true. But guess what? AEW is still in its infancy. They are just getting into finding that primary footing, that they can basically, step into and stake a claim as the premier, second premier, if not the premier, sports entertainment wrestling company in the land, outside of WWE. They are on the verge of doing that, and with 43 plus thousand tickets sold at Wembley Stadium and more to go for a potential sellout for All In London, All In 2, at the end of August. Once that sellout happens, and it will, as much as people may not want to admit to it, it will. Just by the traction it's going by now with sales, it will. That, and whatever card they present to go along with it, that will be the coming out party. That will be the night. That will be the day that they prove to the world that they are on the same level as WWE, if not ready to surpass them. That is going to be the moment. And everybody needs to acknowledge that. Everybody has to realize that. WCW, they've done stadiums and domes before, even before the days of Nitro and the days of Thunder and all that. But they never really sold out those places as much as what they did later on when they started to get that traction. But it was the decisions they made that hindered them. And AEW and Tony Khan and his team are trying to make sure they don't make those same mistakes. Are there some things they still need to work on, like with the trio styles and stuff? Absolutely. Are there some storylines that still need direction and make sense, and championships that need to make sense and all that, need direction as well? Absolutely. But it takes time. Remember, when Hulk Hogan came to WCW and everything, when Hulk Hogan came there, ladies and gentlemen, it took them time to surpass, WWE, as the superior brand for a while, for 83 plus weeks. It took them time because of the fact that they needed to find a stride. And once they found that stride with the NWO, the rest was history. So to wish wish, illness and, extinction on AEW is the wrong thinking. It needs to thrive. It needs to basically show that it is the premier alternative wrestling promotion, sports entertainment promotion outside of WWE for people to go to. Because if you take that away, and then the dominoes fall, and you take Impact away, and then, MLW and all them, what's left? WWE? And with the way it is kind of transitioning right now, depending on what you believe in here, then what are men and women that still want to perform going to do? Just have to deal with the bull crap there? Or have to wait till this transition is done to go back? No. They're going to want a place to go. And AEW is that place. Impact is one of those places. MLW is one of those places. So, ladies and gentlemen, in closing, for those of you that want AEW to go out of business, get that out of your mind. It's not going to happen. It's needed. It's needed. And if it is looked at as the next, as a new WCW,